Rock Metal Podcast, episode 201 with Aeternitas.
Once upon a midnight in December, shadows fell like ghosts upon the floor. Lost in thoughts and staring at
All right, here we go. Rock Metal Nation, what is up? This is John from the Rock Metal Podcast. That's Emily was Raven by Aeternitas. So I've got on the show with me right now. We've got a new album called Tales of the Grotesque, which released via Massacre Records earlier this summer. Right now I'm being joined by Alex Hunzinger to share some stories about the music and share more info about the band. Alex, welcome to the show.
Welcome, John. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely great to have you on. Let's go listen back to that track, Raven. All right, coming back from Raven, a killer track off of the album Tales of the Grotesque, which we'll get a chance to chat about in a bit here. I'm curious, Alex, what is the story or inspiration behind the track Raven?
The inspiration is like all the songs from our latest album. This comes from a story from Edgar Allan Poe, or in this case here we have a poem by Edgar Allan Poe, also called The Raven. And it's about this bird, this strange bird flying into a dark chamber, and a guy sitting there in a gloomy mood. And this raven, he can speak one word, which is nevermore. Although it's only a stupid bird, but this guy brings his own interpretation of what this bird would like to tell him, and that's the basic story of the poem and also of our song.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious. We can obviously get into this a bit more, because you said the entire album is Edgar Allan Poe related. Is this a departure from Aeternitas, or is this a new topic? What inspired the collection of work from Edgar Allan Poe?
We were also very close to the works of different authors from the past. For example, the album before our latest album was also based on a Poe story, The Fall of the House of Usher. And this time I've chosen 12 songs from the work of Poe, because we were also into very lyrical topics, or very dramatical topics right from the beginning. Although we started with some more European-based topics. For example, we also made an album based on old medieval lyrics from A Dance of Death. But a few years ago, when I started the work on the latest albums, I came back to topics like the Gothic fairy tales from Edgar Allan Poe, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's quite the guy. I think he did more than alcohol, but he was definitely off the rocker for a bit there.
Yeah, I think that's also the reason why there are a lot of musicians and artists are inspired by his work throughout the last 2 centuries. So we are not the first one, of course, but his work had a lot of influence into all kinds of modern arts, movies, of course, operas, and also a lot of bands are influenced by Edgar Allan Poe. Although this will not be our main topic for all our albums, it was just now for 2 albums we were having a deeper look into Poe's work, but with the next album we will turn to someone different.
Dostoevsky.
No, I don't think so.
Aww. Yeah. It reminded me of a book that he wrote called Tales from Underground, and similar story, kind of in a way, somewhat, of a guy just losing his own mind. And yeah, it's just interesting topics that were written vastly about, I think, in the 19th century. Yeah, sure.
Guys from Russia are also very, very dark stories they have written.
Oh yeah. All right, now for Rock Nation who dug the track Raven, if you go to today's show notes, that's www.therockmetalpodcast.ca. You can go and see the lyric video for Raven. Now, it's a very, very cool looking video. It's got some playthrough stuff in it too, it looks like. Alex, if you wouldn't mind taking us through the production of the lyric video.
Yeah, it was done by myself, because I'm also working as a producer for video stuff. And we did it in a mixture, not only in a very simple way of putting the lyrics into some images. I wanted to have a little bit a mix of a standard music video and a lyric video, which is and the whole artwork of this lyric video is completely based on the artwork from the album booklet, which was created by our art worker Kurt Wörsdorfer. We work with him for several years and several albums now, and so his artwork influenced me to this video and to the lyric video.
Cool.
With all the backings, and the rest of it are some elements of feathers, of course, due to the raven topic. And but best to have a look into it for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, let's go listen to the next track, Child. As my child says, repeats child.
Yeah. Child of the Darkness. Mm-hmm.
Once a fire's burned in me, now the flame has disappeared. What is left is a haunting hour, while the shadows fall upon my soul.
There is only one identity, and from itself it will persist eternally. Now the time has come for me to die, but I foretell that I will live, so do not
In the moment when she passed away, Morella's daughter saw the light of day.
This was next door to a miracle, that's so mysterious that she remained a nameless child, nameless and hidden. Child of the darkness, fallen from grace. What is your secret? Born from the shadows into the light. What is your
While she grew up in this darkened place, the child evolved the likeness of her mother's face.
Oh, so strange was her maturity. She spoke a woman's words, but she remained a helpless child, helpless and hidden. Child of the darkness, fallen from grace. What is your secret? Born from the shadows into the light. What is your
Metal Nation, it's John from the Rock Metal Podcast for a real quick break to let you know that Jay over at Metal Mayhem Radio is looking to help you get your band in rotation on his station. So go ahead and hit up Jay at studio@metalmayhemradio.co.uk. That is studio@metalmayhemradio.co.uk. Just go ahead and say that the Rock Metal Podcast sent you. He'll get you into rotation on Metal Mayhem Radio. Exactly. All right, coming back from the track Child, you mentioned that all the songs on the album are Edgar Allan Poe, so the similar question, tell us about the Poe inspiration behind the track Child.
Yeah, this time we are very close to the short story by Poe, which was called Morella, a female name. And like lots of his stories, its core topic is about the death and the loss of a beloved woman, and also in some kind of a rebirth of this woman. That's he wrote different versions of this topic, and within this story and also our song, it's about his or the narrator's wife called Morella, who had a very heavily disease and passed away. But before that, she gave birth to a child. And when this child grew up, this child it looks more and more like his mother. And when the child grew older and also learns to speak, then it turns out that it not only looks like his mother, it is his mother. So it's a kind of a rebirth of the mother into the child. That's the story behind the song.
Wow. Cool stuff, my good man. Now, for Rock Metal Nation who dug the 2 tracks, Raven and Child, will be excited to know that there is a full-length album called Tales of the Grotesque, which was released earlier this summer. Now, Alex, if you wouldn't mind taking us through the album, when we pick it up, what should we expect?
Lots of Poe topics, of course, and from the musical side, lots of great melodies. In the chorus parts, we usually work with great melodies, very catchy chorus parts. And besides that, because we call it symphonic metal, so there are a lot of orchestral elements in the songs from my production, and we have 2 ballads on the album, and the rest of some mid tempo songs and also some up tempo songs. So the Raven and Child of the Darkness, the 2 songs which you also heard in this podcast, they are more the up tempo songs. That's what I would like to describe the latest album and the music behind it.
Cool. All right. Well, the next logical question on Rock Metal Nation's mind is, how can we find out more about you? Is there a place we should go to on the web?
Yes, there is, of course, our website, Aeternitas.band. We have also some other domains, but that's the best and logical one, Aeternitas.band. And also, of course, you will find us on Facebook and some other social medias like Twitter or Instagram. Or just search for Aeternitas in YouTube, and you will find our latest 2 music videos and also some older stuff.
All right, cool. Well, Alex, if there's anything else you wanted to throw out there, I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day to come onto the Rock Metal Podcast and sharing Aeternitas with Rock Metal Nation.
Well, thank you again for having me in your podcast, in your rock podcast, and best greetings from the northern part of Germany, and maybe one day we can also enter Canada or the northern part of America and see some of you guys live on stage, maybe.
Alright, Rock Metal Nation. Hope you just found your new favorite band in Aeternitas. Big thanks again to them for coming on and sharing their music with us. Make sure to head over to www.therockmetalpodcast.ca to get all the information on the show you just heard today. And until then, rock on, Rock Metal Nation!